Hello, it's Matt Ford here from the Reservoir Red Dogs podcast. Thanks for downloading this episode, but we've got a favour that we need from you. We'd like you to nominate us in the Football Blogging Awards. There are a number of ways you can do this, and the nomination ends at 1 minute to midnight on March the 24th. So you've only got a couple of weeks to do it, so if you could do it straight away, that would be great. You can either do it through their website, footballbloggingawards.co.uk, you can type in Reservoir Red Dogs in the best podcast category. You can vote on Twitter. Just tweet, I am voting for @RRD1865 in @the FBAs for hashtag best podcast. If you go to our Twitter feed @RRD1865, we've put on there how you can do it. And you can vote on Instagram. Just click on the relevant category on the Football Blogging Awards Instagram page. Tag the Instagram account of your chosen winner in the comments. You can only vote once per category. So many of you have already done it. So if you've already done it, thank you. But tell your friends and family to do it as well. It'd be great to have a Forest podcast nominated in these prestigious awards. And we know so many of you love it. So I shall leave you alone for now instead of all this electioneering. We've got a very special episode with Geoff Thomas that you need to listen to. So I'll get out your way. But thank you very much. And if you could do as that small favour, it'd mean the world. See you later. Ta-ra. Hello and welcome to the Reservoir Red Dogs podcast. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitter @RRD1865 and you can email the show rrd1865@outlook.com. A warning at the start of this episode, this is recorded the day after we beat Derby 1-0, and I know we don't often talk about games on here or topical issues, but if the voices sound a bit worn and torn, it's because...
If your voice sounds worn and torn, Matthew... Mine's fine. I'm fine and dandy.
That was a proper cliffy
now,
finger.
Your voice... I'm fine. I'm clear-headed, bright as a daisy, fresh-eyed. Quite the opposite.
Okay, well, I shouted and screamed a lot and bounced around.
And what else did you do?
You make it sound like I killed a man. What are you on about? I had a few
Mama.
drinks. Like an interrogation. I had a wonderful time, but there's a lot of... And we're in a slightly different studio, so it's standing room only. Producer Johnny is stood at the back. You right, Johnny?
I'm very good, thank you.
Did you enjoy the game last night?
I very much enjoyed it.
So the thing is, you will listen to this probably in a week or two's time, so God knows what's happened since, but we're all very happy because of the
Enjoy
time.
the moment.
We're enjoying the moment, exactly. We have a very special guest today, a Forest legend, a Palace legend, an England legend, Mr. Geoff Thomas. Geoff, welcome to the show.
How are you?
Very good, thanks. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you on because... I was wondering about how to broach this, but I'm just going to go straight in at the top with it. Do you remember the 3rd of March 1993? It's a long time ago, I suppose.
Go on.
We met.
What did I do?
Oh, you were. We met that day. You were captain of Crystal Palace.
I always cringe. 1993.
1993. It was Forest Palace at the City Ground. It was a 1-1 draw. Roy Keane scored for us. You were playing away in that yellow shirt, sky blue short. You were captaining Palace on the day. It was one of Clough's last home games in charge. It was in the Premier League. I think Forest and Palace were both relegated that season because then we both got promoted the following season. But you were captain of Palace. And
90, right, okay.
93. And what I really and I've remembered this since that day is it was very awkward being a mascot as a kid because...
Oh, my God.
Oh, God.
Were you the mascot?
I was the mascot for Forest that day.
Yeah, he's that guy. Get ready.
Well, my abiding memory of it is how friendly and nice you were to me. And I remember thinking, but he plays for the other team. And you asked me my name and you asked me how I was and you shook my hand and you were so nice and kind. And it's something that stayed with me. You were nicer to me than most of the Forest players. I remember thinking, oh my God, this man's made a real effort.
Just about to say, these stories normally end up in you getting shouted at or laughed at or hit.
Percy would have been obviously still there, wasn't he?
Pierce was there, but he was injured that season.
Oh, was he?
So it was Nigel Clough, Roy Keane. Keano scored that day. But I would never forget. And I remember also thinking, and obviously it's awkward to look at you in the eye and say this, but as a child even, I remember thinking...
Well, I don't know where this is going.
Keep looking, just look at me. Just look at me.
Yeah.
We've got history, Jack. Don't look that way.
I remember thinking, that's one of the most handsome men I've ever seen. Even as a 10-year-old boy, I was like, wow, this guy looks like a film star.
Told you, didn't I? He was bouncing off the walls with Chet. He sits down every time he sees Gemma. He's like, "Do you know what? You have to say you're gorgeous."
I'll show my camera
for a man
pictures
of your
Gemma.
age. You are gorgeous.
He is though, isn't he, Gemma? Gemma's a good-looking lad.
All right.
But anyway, that day, I was trying to find it. It's at my mum's house, buried somewhere. But there's a photo taken in the centre circle of you as Palace captain, Nigel, who was captain in Forest because Psycho was injured,
Right, okay.
and me and you and whoever the referee was. So it's all been leading to this day. 26
I'm
years ago.
disappointed you haven't brought the photo.
You know what, I'll dig it out and I'll tweet it afterwards.
That'd be great.
Next time I go to my mum's, I'll find it and I'll get it out there. I should have got it
How
for
old
today.
would you have been then?
About 25. I was 10, I think.
That would make me feel better. If you...
I was 10 or 11, I think.
What? 10 or 11?
Yeah.
Okay.
But my God.
God, I'm old.
So, I suppose in a way that leads us into this is you played for Forest between 97 and 99, but what was it like coming to Forest as a visiting player? Like, as a Palace player, was Forest known as like an intimidating place to go or a good place to go?
They were a footballing side, Forest, and we always felt if we got a point or even 3 points, it was a massive performance. They're in that category of like you always say about the top 6 now. I think Forest were the quality players, and I think obviously the manager. You don't need to talk about them. Everybody knows about that character, and just putting yourself up against people like that. And Steve Coppell was the manager of Palace, and just loved playing against Forest because you felt like you were playing against the best. It was a couple of weeks where we played about 3 or 4 times, and it was actually one of the games got called off. We travelled up here, and the mist came in off the river, and it just sort of got locked in the stadium, so it got called off. So we were backwards and forwards. Eventually, Forest beat us and thrashed us in the end. And I remember Cloughie took a couple of players off. And they ended up with 9 men. And because I was captain, Steve never used to do press conferences. And after, I had a little dig at Brian. And it got reported, obviously it would do. But unfortunately for me, we were playing Forest again in the league the following weekend. And I think it took about 2 minutes of him walking down that long corridor into the referee's room before I was up against a wall. His hand was around my neck.
No way.
And Stuart Pearce was behind him saying to me, because I knew Stuart obviously had played a few games for England, that he was going, go on, have a go, eat him. So it was a bizarre moment, but a moment I'll never forget.
Oh, man,
Right.
what an experience. We had... obviously, when we tweeted that you were coming on, we had lots of messages. One of them was from a Palace fan, James Gill, who listens to the podcast, and he said this, but he won't give it away. So this is your story to tell.
Oh, go on.
He said, ask him about what happened after Palace lost 9-0 to Liverpool.
Well, it was quiet.
Yeah.
Steve Coppell was a Scouser from Birkenhead, and he had all his family there. It was the first time he's taken a side back to Liverpool.
Birkenhead, he's a Wally back then.
Well, is he a Scouser from
Nah,
Birkenhead?
he's not a Scouser from
He's not too
Birkenhead,
Scouser. He always
Not
used to
from
say
Doodle
what-
Lad like me. That was Scouse, apparently.
No,
that way.
Yeah. Anyway, we got a footballing lesson that night. We got absolutely hammered, and it was just I don't know what he wants me to say apart from yes, I hit a post when it was 0-0. Yes, I could have changed the game when I missed a penalty when it was 6-0, and the cop was singing "We want 10 for 10 minutes" while they were 9-0, and. But it was just after the game, we just went into a silent room, and it was one of them moments where you either try to disappear or you made a bit of fun about it. And we just got in this, it was when you still had the bath, one bath.
Oh, man.
And we got in the bath and one by one, and there was a guy, fullback, John Pemberton, who just looked at us all and said, I tell you what, they'll do okay this year.
Oh, man.
And slowly we all had to sort of submerge ourselves, and there was just bubbles coming up, because we didn't want Steve Coppell or the coaching staff listening to all this giggling going on after we just...
What else can you do? There's nothing to say, is there? You just got to hold your hands up sometimes and go, well, that was that.
That's it. It was a big test, and I think we went to Southampton and got a point away the next game.
Oh, good.
And we ended up mid-bottom of the table first year at the top flight. So, yeah, it was a crash course in how to play top level and, well, not to play top level.
Yeah.
We kept on attacking when we were about 6-7-0 down, so it was one of them days.
So you after Palace, you played for a number of clubs, Wolves, and you come to Forest in 1997.
Yeah.
And you have 2 amazing years with Forest where you were in the last side to get promoted to the Premier League, and also the last side to be relegated from the Premier League. So kind of incredible 2 years. Firstly, that promotion season, which people still have such amazing fond memories of. I really remember the game that really sticks out for me. One of the games that really sticks out is the Norwich game at home where you scored 2 goals. And Forest were just absolutely rampant. And obviously that was on the back of a very painful relegation the season before. And then that side was just explosive that day.
Yeah, I think I came to Forest and I felt, well, I didn't feel the love. I think Dave Bassett came in. And Dave, I don't think, was number one choice on a lot of Forest fans' lists. And I think he wanted characters around him that he thought he could trust. And I've never met Dave before. I think we played at the same ground at Sellers Park when he was in charge of Wimbledon. And I just had 4 years at Wolves, and 2 years of them were injured, with bad knee injuries and everything after a bad tackle. And Forest was a massive opportunity for me. And I felt, if I could sort of get back playing to the level I was getting back to after the injury, then, I might be able to help Forest. And you felt like you were walking into a club that was still had Brian Clough around. You felt you had to break into that club before you got anywhere.
Yeah.
And there was a few new players there. Andy Johnson came along as well. It was an absolute nutter. And then,
we had this with Tank, didn't we? When we were talking about him and Jono.
Well,
were you there at the? You roomed with Jono, did you?
I roomed with Jono.
Oh, man.
Grief.
Oh, man.
I told this.
Well, tell us whatever you like.
I told this with Tank, didn't I? But remember, sat at the. Were you there when we were sat at the Commodore and he ate the glass? He ate the wine glass in front
We
of
had
everyone's...
a director on the table as well.
That's right, yeah.
Director and his wife, and he's there and he's just talking away, saying how good the season's been, and then he started crunching on something. And then you can see his wine glass going down and down and down, and just sipping it, and then eating a glass to that level, and then.
I can just remember thinking we
Madness.
are not in Kansas anymore. This is not Nottingham Forest that I know.
What was he like to room with?
Crazy. It was just, you just didn't know what was going to happen. It was like Peter Sellers moments. not now, Jono. It was crazy. And Tank, similar. I mean, I listened to Tank on here.
Yeah.
And the last thing Julie, my missus, said, just be as funny as Tank. I was saying, listen to this idiot. Yeah. And they were from the same pod, them two.
Yeah.
It was great being a part of it, because I think that's what Harry Bassett liked. He liked to have characters. Yeah. And I think what was perfect that first season, in many ways, was that mix of the Forest traditional sort of way of playing football. But to get out that league, he needed a bit of an edge.
Yes.
And the characters that they brought in just give that little edge.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, with the duel up front of Pierre Van Hooydonk, we obviously smashed that league that year.
It was a brilliant season. There's so many vivid memories. I remember the Middlesbrough game, the Sunderland game towards the end. Middlesbrough 4-0 at home was out of this world.
Yeah, and that's why I'm surprised that, when I speak to Forest fans, I came here and I got injured again. And I felt, Sheffield United actually, I thought was having a belting game, stormer of a game. Like you say, of Norwich, games that stick in my mind. And I got somebody kicked me leg when I was at full stretch and my hamstrings just went sick. And it's just one of them things where I didn't feel I've played enough to get the warmth that I get from Forest fans now. But I think when you're part of a successful side and you have sort of moments in the season, then people do remember you. Which
was great. And there was that amazing league game against Doncaster away. It was, I think, 8-0 or 8-1.
Yeah. 8-1 in my vein, yeah.
You scored. And that beautiful, what I remember most about is that beautiful blue Pinnacle away kit with the red and white trim on the sides. Do you remember that one?
I do remember.
Crest in the middle. That, for me, is a classic Forest kit.
I love a Forest crest in the middle.
I like the white one as well.
Oh, the white one was lovely with the black and red trim on the side. Have you kept any of your Forest shirts?
Yeah, I've got them all, actually.
Oh,
quite a lot.
And have you got them framed or up? Or I ask everyone this. Do you think it's mad? I'm telling you, from a fan's point of view, people.
Yeah, no. After a number of years, the missus gets fed up at them, and they slowly find their way into the attic
in a bin bag.
Yeah, sad, but I should pass them on really, but
sell them.
Do you know what the equivalent is?
Charity.
You put in you having screens up all around your house,
Yeah.
TV screens everywhere,
Yeah.
and just having your shows on permanently.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm the only one who watches them, mate. That's why I get the figures up.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me.
But obviously, I mean, because it's not just in the sort of fevered imagination of a fan. When you watch, like, I don't know what the equivalent are of MTV Cribs now, and Premier League footballers, and they've got loads of shirts. It seems to be the thing to do. Was that a bit weird?
No, I've never been one for putting my pictures of yourself up, and even England caps, I never put them up. You know, one might be fine.
Yeah.
In the
Special
bathroom.
occasions, isn't it? You know, you'll put your England cap on when maybe you're making love or something like that. Maybe
gonna
your
say when
league
it's
winners
cold
medal
out.
when you're having a bath. Who knows? Just little moments like
Little
that.
moments like that, they're perfect.
But the England caps are lovely, aren't they? Because they're like proper old-fashioned.
Oh, they are, the old
With the
bolted,
tassels,
yeah, caps.
Wouldn't know.
Gold tassels. Wouldn't know.
You've seen them.
I've seen them. Yeah.
Other Forest players would have shown you theirs. wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So you talked about Pierre Van Hooijdonk. He's obviously someone that comes up a lot when we talk to players of that era. And something that Paul's talked about before, and Tank as well, is that amazing showdown in the dressing room when he decides to come back.
I don't think it was as bad as it should have been, really. I think he got away with it. You know, there's so many nice lads in the Forest dressing room that, you know, I think they were willing to give him a chance. And I don't think he's shown any remorse. And that's what got to me a little bit. He never came back. He came back as if he sort of was vilified by certain people. But, you know, he still felt, because of our results, for one, that he felt like he made the right choice staying away and telling Dave Bassett, you know, he gave Dave Bassett a list of 6 players.
That's right.
Who were all Dutch, I think. And he said, you get these players and we'll do well in the Premiership. So,
Terry Van Hooijdonk, Peter Van Hooijdonk,
yeah.
Ian Van Hooijdonk. Some of them not even players.
But that is, when you talk about player power these days in sport, I suppose, was Pierre the first Forest player
Well,
to behave like that?
I think he was the first in British football to do something like that. You know, he's. I just didn't get it at all, because him and Kevin Campbell, you know, built a great partnership.
Oh, so good.
And not to walk away from, especially a club like this who's got the history, and I felt privileged to be a part of a side that got Forest back into the top flight.
Yeah.
And I thought it started off really well. You know, Darshville came in, and Darsh, it was like the fastest thing I'd ever seen.
Yeah, it's frightening, wasn't he?
Shame he left the ball sometimes. But but if he had people like Pierre around him, he could have learnt the game a lot quicker than he did. And I think it's a great shame that we don't have a full squad at the start of the season.
In terms of the promotion season then, in terms of what Bassett brought as a manager, like, did he have a philosophy with a sort of strict game plans? I mean, it seems to be such a team of great creative players.
A lot of managers got tainted with this long ball or over physical and all that. Dave just played to the ability of the players that he had in front of him, you know, set them out to do a job. And I think many a time I was sat on the bench and watching Scott and Jono put in masterful performances, and you just have to bide your time and play your part when you get a chance. So I think Harry, like I say, he was more about character as well. He liked to have a happy dressing room, and fully aware that he can't keep 20-odd players happy.
Yeah.
But if you can keep the nucleus happy, then you've got a good chance. And I think that's what his skill was. His man management was very good.
In terms of the other people that you played with, who were your sort of mates in the Forest side?
Well, Jono wouldn't let me go anywhere else. I mean, there was Tank. What I found was interesting, when the Forest guys did go out as a team, there was never any trouble or anything.
No.
They were just all welcome and not even made a fuss of. You know, it was a case of, you know, it's your time to enjoy yourself. Get on with it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I liked about Nottingham. It was a great place to live and a great place to enjoy yourself as well.
I think we've said that before as well, but it was such a regular thing seeing the lads out. And
Yeah.
we knew so many people, because Nottingham, it's not that big, is it? It's like it's essentially I know it's a cliche, it's a big village, really.
Yeah. And even just the Brian Clough, you know, tradition of the Christmas training session, and then going out for drinks before you even start training. You know, having a champagne breakfast, and then
Oh, brilliant.
we actually went to Hooters, didn't we?
Oh,
Was it?
yeah.
Yeah.
It was brand new, wasn't it, at the time?
Brand new Hooters.
Yeah.
The only one in the UK.
I think it was them.
I don't know who opened it, but
Frank Clark.
some of the
Frank
lads.
Clark.
Good grief.
He always tells me.
I mean, there was some competition in there as well, though. The ice hockey guys used to go in there, and there were a mixture of Canadians, Americans, and all that, and they were all big, burly guys.
Of course, yeah.
We were sort of shrunken into the corner somewhat, you know. But
They're all skint though, so.
It works itself out.
Yeah.
yeah, but Christmas was an experience of training slightly inebriated and then going out, and then I remember putting Jono into a taxi about 5-6 o'clock in the evening, and then
Wow.
it was early, and Jono was gone. He was in a French maid outfit, and I can't say anything else. I was in. Hold on, no, I was in a French maid outfit.
Wow,
Matthew's getting very excited.
yeah.
Jono was in
Have
a
you got it
nurse's
framed on your wall?
outfit, and we both had gone to Ann Summers to buy the outfit. So they were short,
Oh, man.
and we put Jono, because he was absolutely trashed by about 5 o'clock. Put him in a taxi, and then a couple of days after, we coming back in for training, and said, "How do you get home? Okay?" I said, "Nope." Taxi driver chucked him out. Remember this one? Melton Mowbray.
Oh,
I
my
can't remember
God.
this, no.
He chucked him out, and he was sat on the steps, and there was a petrol station across the way. So I thought, "Oh, go and get the munchies." He's gone across there in his nurse's outfit, and filling the car up was a mate of his from the village. He was going to his work's Christmas do, big at a hotel in Leicester or something.
man.
So he ended up at 5 o'clock in the morning, no underwear, in this French outfit, dancing away.
Oh, man. Wow, do you remember that night?
I don't know.
This is amazing. Like, can you remember what other people were wearing then? Like, what was Pierre Van Hooydonk wearing?
I think, I can't remember what Pierre had on. But, I mean, there was all sorts of crazy outfits. we did.
So what's he doing now, John? Because it'd be amazing to get on here. He's
an
the
electrician.
centre- And
He's
where's
what,
he?
sorry?
He likes fishing.
No, sorry, he's an electrician.
Oh, sorry.
Likes
He
said he likes
does like fishing. He does like fishing. No, he's local to where I live now, and I hear of him rather than speak to him anymore.
So that amazing season, a team full of characters, a success, winning the league, not just going up as champions. I remember the last home game of that season, and I think there was still an away game to play. So
West Brom.
That's right. And we knew that we'd gone up, but we weren't sure that we were champions. I think, is that right?
Yeah, and I think I remember West Brom as well, because before the game we knew we were champions, and we were drinking champagne in the bottles before the game on the pitch.
Oh,
man.
man.
Luke say bottles.
Oh, wow! No way.
Yeah, there was a few going down. Yeah, I'd like to say what this drinking culture happened. It was only once now and then. It was
Hey, when you're champions, it's fine, right?
when you're champions, it's fine. Yeah. And then the coach journey was quite interesting as well, because we were all shouting, "Come on, we need a few beers," and we pulled into Birmingham, and the Hooters had just opened.
Oh, here we go.
Just
Just
showing
happened
in
to come up
Birmingham.
on the horizon.
Yeah.
I remember I think I'm right in saying this, the last time that Forest had a bus parade in Nottingham was that season, was when we were champions.
Yeah, it was great.
I remember the reception in Market Square, absolutely packed. The trophy being sort of, I remember touching the trophy and stuff like that. What I also remember is I almost got arrested that day because I didn't know, and it was just that typical, I was always the dopey one that would, people would dare to do stuff. And I didn't know that police were called pigs. There was loads of police there, and a mate of mine said, "Just shout pigs really loud. It'd be really funny." So, Forest are there parading this trophy. I don't know, I'm just going, "Pigs! Pigs! Pigs!" And my mate's going, "Oh my God, he's going to get..." I was like, "I don't understand." I had no... I was, 13, 14 years. I didn't know that was a derogatory term for our wonderful law enforcement.
That's one of the most idiotic things I've ever heard.
That sounds like my 4-year-old daughter when she said, "Is swearing.
Where she heard it, though, that's the thing.
Depends on the context, darling. Depends on the context.
That's right, yeah. It's actually, is it a medical term? No. It's not at all. No, it's not. So then Forest go up. There's an amazing feeling around the club. People say, right, we're back in the Premier League. And actually, from Clough's departure to that promotion, only 4 years that we'd been up and down, and then we're up again. And you talk about the sort of Clough, shadow is not the right word really, but the legacy of the great man was, in terms of the style of play then, still based on what Clough was doing. And were the players there, would people ever say, Clough, you wouldn't do it like this, what's happening? Or
No, there was a little bit of that right at the start. I think people like Ian Wallen, for one, was for sure, used to call, I think it was Tanky, used to call the hod carrier.
the what?
The hod carrier.
What does
He
that
said,
mean?
you carry the bricks and I'll build a wall. You know, he's like, he's a tradesman and he's like the labourer. And I think,
Wow.
yeah, there was a little bit of a football class culture, should I say, you know, where they'd been there, they played some massive, especially night games at the City Ground was special, you know, and they'd been a part of some special games. And Stoney as well, they just had this air about them. I mean, even when I was playing in the England squad, I was there 9 times, and the Forest guys were very tight and didn't really sort of go outside their little circle. But once you got to know them, once you broke that barrier down, like I say, it started to work on all levels. Stoney became... He's flipping lunatic as well. The team, it was a squad of lunatics. I mean, he used to, again, another one. Because I've been at Wolves and I'd come back from a cruciate knee operation, and I'd done weights for a year. So I was skinny legs but solid.
Yeah.
Up top, and I remember Stoney used to try and take me on at everything, jump on me and try and take me down, get me in headlocks, and I used to just get hold of him and just smash him on the floor. He used to love it. He used to, what are you doing? Yeah, but yeah, it was a crazy time.
I remember seeing him out in Nottingham, not long after he left.
Oh, he won't
Forest.
pay. Tightest man I've ever met.
Really?
Yeah. He just got a rise. I'm sorry to put in.
No,
I remember
He just
this,
we went out for a meal again, all of us, wives and everything. And he just signed a contract. And the rumours going about, you know, it was a silly amount of money. He was probably one of the first person that had broken in past 20-odd thousand pound a week or something.
Wow.
And we were going, wow, that's great. I mean, everybody's going to follow suit. Too late for me. I was too old in the tooth to get that sort of. But come the end of the evening, Stoney, where's he gone? He just snaked off. And I learned he did it. I don't know if he still does it. Did it a lot.
That's so, like, if you're earning that sort of money, you pay for
once,
everything.
once you're tight, aren't you?
It's a mindset, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. He used to think it was funny, though. He used to come back in a couple of days laughing, you know, so... yeah, it was his little party trick.
But yeah, I remember bumping him into town a couple of times and getting his autograph when he was at Forest. But I remember seeing him after he'd left Forest, and I was not far from where we are now. It was the top of Hockley one evening, and he was in town. He was wearing a black leather jacket or leather coat, and I said, "Oh, you're Steve Stoney," and he went, "No, I'm not." And like, Steve Stoney's a distinctive looking man. I said, "What?" I said, "You are Steve Stoney." He went, "No, I'm not." I said, "You even sound like him." He went, No, it's not me, it's not me. And I think maybe he thought because he'd left, I was going to give him grief or whatever, I don't know, but he seemed, I don't know whether he left on bad terms at Forest or what, I can't imagine he did, but he seemed nervous.
I don't think he
You
did,
have
did
that
he?
effect on people.
Do you think? There is a chance that
shirts
it
on
wasn't
your
Steve Stoney. I was
Yeah.
completely wrong. Because he's at Burnley now, isn't he? He's part of that, you know, there's Deitch, Woney and Stoney there. It's basically a sort of Forest club up at Burnley now.
Yeah, he's done well, Stoney, hasn't he? He's been coaching a while at Newcastle and what have you, so he's learnt his trade up there.
Do you still keep in touch with any of that side that you were in?
I haven't really, to be honest. Steve Chettle I've come across a few times, and that's again, it's events and things like that. You know, it's Jono, like I say, I hear of more than me. Mark Crossley now and then on the Twitter land.
Oh, he's great, isn't he?
Norm's brilliant.
Yeah.
He was a great character, Norm. He just so funny without knowing he was funny. When he came, I saw a great film last night, Titanic. And he said, it's a true story, you know.
Oh, goodness me. It's such a shame to have to talk about, on the back of the great promotion season, what then happened the following season.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's the politics around Pierre and all that sort of thing. And that's seen as the main cause of the problem, really. But were there other problems?
No, I don't think there was. I think you're up against it, aren't you, as a newly promoted side? And I think you need everything to be perfect, really, to give yourself a chance. And I think everything else was right. The atmosphere amongst the team, the staff, everything seemed to be okay. We went down to Arsenal and put in a very, very good performance. Yeah, I think we lost a game because we got overconfident thinking we could get the 3 points, and we were attacking and in the final minutes, and Overmars went through, and
Yes,
it's one of them moments. But we bounced back, had a couple of good results, and I thought we looked decent. We looked a decent side, and we looked like we were strong enough to keep going. But I think a few injuries, key players and what have you, just it hurts teams like, who were just coming up, because the squad wasn't massive, was it? It wasn't big enough to take a few injuries, and with Pierre sort of bubbling along, that story didn't help.
It was such a miserable season, really, to watch, because there were quality players. Like, it was just so weird. I mean, obviously there's a huge difference in the leagues, but the side that went up in the summer of 1998 was just amazing. It was such good football. They probably would have beaten most Premier League teams. That side,
Yeah,
Van Hooijdonk, Campbell, Stoney, Woney. Like, it was a superb footballing side. So
it was strong, solid at the back, and it just had a bit of flair as well, But like I say, some skillful players. Woney on his day was one of the best, and
yeah, he was great.
Yeah, and like I say, Scott Gemmell, so much respect for. He was such a nice guy. He never didn't play that much, really, not as much as he should have done. But he never said a bad word, really.
So many people talk about him as, so many Forest players remember him as probably one of the best players they played with, or one of the most impressive players.
Technically, he was, yeah.
Phenomenal on a training ground.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, if he was playing now, he's probably be his sort of football. I think you could argue if it was a tough physical game, you probably would put Scott on the bench.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he fell foul to in his career. It was just the type of football that was being played at the time probably didn't suit his style.
Because you talk about him a lot in terms of your respect for him as a footballer. I mean, he'd be great to come on here.
And Tank said the same, didn't he?
Many people. He's what's emerged on this podcast. There's loads of things that, as a fan, I never appreciated. Which was there was a lot of respect for the players who played under David Platt that wasn't sort of perhaps broadcast at the time. That Andy Johnson is an absolute sort of a character, and that Scott Gemmell is someone that people really, every generation of player that came through with Scott Gemmell really respects him.
I nearly came back to Forest when Platty came. Platty, yeah, I was just spent a year up at Barnsley, and Dave Bassett had just been given the boot after getting them into the playoffs, but fell short halfway through the following season, and Platty had just arrived here, and he just rang me up saying, "Do you fancy coming back?" And
Brilliant.
I said, "Yeah." But I think he took it to the board level and went, "No."
Oh, no.
It was a shame, yeah. I would have loved to come back.
In terms of, obviously it's a Forest podcast, so it's a slightly leading question, but in terms of the clubs you played for, I won't ask you to rank them all, but in terms of your experience at Forest, how positive was that overall compared to your experience at other clubs?
Well, I think any time you win anything, you've got fond memories of that club. But even, I'm going beyond that, just living around here for 4 years loved it. And the club itself was just driving to the place. You felt like you were playing a part of history in some respects. Yeah. That because of so much had gone on here, you felt privileged to play here. And I think, I've been lucky. I mean, Crystal Palace were a small side, and the period I was there was probably the best up to now they're doing well this season. But regarding, we got to the FA Cup final and finished third in the top flight. Not a great record, but something to be very proud of at a smaller club. But Wolves was a side that was potentially what it is now when I went, and coming here, I just felt, especially at the stage of my career, I think it was about 28, 9, maybe older. I just felt it was a great opportunity of giving it a good go. And when we got back to the Premiership, that's when I decided to move over, and really concentrate on getting fit again, 100% fit, and try and smash it. But unfortunately, tried to smash Chelsea goalkeeper and smash myself. That's Stamford Bridge. So that put my Forest career to the end, really.
It's such a... I mean, obviously, with so many footballers' careers ended in injury and stuff like that, and I never really appreciated the amount of injuries that, sort of smaller injuries that you're carrying at any one point, or like the physical toll on the body. You talk about John McGovern near Christmas, who said he can't walk above a certain pace because his knees will now sort of physically swell. Like, the toll that football takes on the body is incredible.
Yeah, I think probably their period when they were playing was worse than ours, but I think ours is a lot worse than what it is today. I think a lot of players don't play if they're injured.
Yeah.
Now, we used to play when we were injured all the time, and if there was
And it was expected of you as well.
Yeah.
Kind of forced upon you, wasn't it?
Yeah, the manager asks the physio say he's not fit, then the manager will come to you and you say, yeah, I'm fit.
Because you want to play.
Because you want to play. And sometimes you have a job, a painkiller, and you just get out there. And you don't know you're going to pay the price when you're a little bit older, but for me it was a price. My left knee's shot now, but it's a price I was willing to pay, still willing to pay.
You're still very active and physically fit, and obviously have survived leukemia, which was sort of revealed after you'd retired, that you developed leukemia. You won the Helen Rollason Sports Personality of the Year award in 2005. I mean, that's an incredible personal battle to defeat something like that. And obviously, I can't really imagine what you went through. But what you've done since is huge amounts of money, raised huge amounts of money for charity, and cycled the Tour de France stages, all of them before the Tour de France. I mean, in terms of a physical piece of exertion, how did that compare to being a footballer?
Well, John Barnes' advert, I always go back to that, 90 minutes of sheer hell. But on a bike, it could be 10, 11 hours on a bike, doing, just putting yourself through it. And for 20-odd days of doing 100+ miles a day up some massive mountains, it is just a different sport. And it's mentally and physically, it's a different challenge, totally. But, it's... and that's why football for me now it's like a different life to me. I have to try and remember certain periods of my career because it seems so far away, and it seems somebody else had lived that life.
I feel exactly the same.
And after football, you feel like, especially because I've got a clear dividing line where football and health were great, and then I had that moment where somebody said you've got only 3 months to live.
My God!
And then you come back from that, you find that that life you look at totally different, and you change your mindset on so many different levels. What probably you used to probably do before, you change the way you think. And you understand what's really important, your family and things like that, and you realise that money's not important anymore. It's just being healthy and then being able to enjoy what you've got around you, your family and everything. Just Mother Nature delivers so many nice things.
That's right.
You appreciate it. When you're football, you can't admit to that. It's like, oh, that's not. Oh no, it's not nice. No,
Isn't that tree lovely?
Yeah. And honestly, I did that. I used to go out and look at trees and listen to birds in the trees.
Trees are lovely.
They are lovely. But before, you try and go up walking around the town with a bunch of footballers, and you said that, you'd be. I don't know what you'd be.
Called names.
Yeah, let's leave it at that. Yeah. Or Steve Stone would have got me in a headlock.
I mean, it's incredible what you've done in terms of your charity work, and obviously because you've been through it yourself, obviously it's very, very close to your heart. On the Tour de France thing, Lance Armstrong joined you for some of it.
I did. 2015 was 10 years since I went into remission and got told, yeah, you've got a chance of beating this. And I wanted to tell my story because a couple of days after I diagnosed and, told the bad news, somebody gave me Lance Armstrong's book. And I just found all the messaging in that book at the time was so positive. Yeah. And he didn't want to just have treatment for treatment's sake. He wanted treatment so he could become an athlete again. Yeah. And at that moment in time, it was perfect. He just got me on this positive path where even if I was going to die, I wanted to enjoy what I had left. And then when I got told I had 3 years to live, I just felt it was the most euphoric moment where you just felt it was perfect. It was like nothing else mattered apart from just waking up in the morning, enjoying it, doing what you wanted to do. And doing what I wanted to do was just be with the family and do things like going down to Cornwall, of all places, to a place where I never thought. I thought I'd have to travel miles and miles, pay thousands of pounds to enjoy myself. But no, you don't need to do that. That's what I realised. And yeah, that's the track I went on, So it's been an interesting journey. But with Lance, that's what I'm saying. He played a part in getting me on that road. Yeah. So I invited him. I went to meet him first because there was a girl who was his masseur, who he sort of ridiculed and called her all sorts of names because she was the one that told the story first to David Walsh, who writes for the Times. And I went to see her up in Manchester where she works, and she said, I get on with Lance now. Even more so when I was working with her. So if she could forgive him, I thought, right, okay, I need to go and speak to Lance. So I went out to America, sat in front of him, and he was more affected about not being able to be a part of his Livestrong organisation anymore. And I could see that was true. And obviously he's got issues, but I could see he was upset by this, and I asked him if he wanted to be a part of what we're doing. I'd like you along for 2 days, and we'll be very selective about the 2 days that we had him for various reasons. But when he got to France, he was, everybody adored him. Yeah. The French people accepted him for what he was, and in the UK, I think and even in the USA, he's still seen as a villain. But I saw him as a cancer survivor who'd raised millions and millions of dollars for the cause. So that's why I wanted him a part of it.
So when you went to meet him, was hey, Geoff Thomas, man, I remember you playing for Palace on the 3rd of March 1993.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
That game.
What did he call Crystal Palace? He called Crystal Palace something ridiculous. He did actually say, I can't even remember what he said, Regal Palace or something like that. I hear you play for Regal Palace.
They were right about you. You're a mess, mate.
Yeah.
Lay off the drugs, kid.
Yeah.
Just say no.
No, but he's if you had him in this room, he's one of them people who he walks into the room, he takes over the room. He's got a presence about him, and obviously he was a powerful person at one time. And when I met him, he was pretty broken, to be honest. And, maybe a little bit naive. I thought I could give him his first step to redemption, maybe. But he's doing what he's doing now and getting on with it.
Oh, man, it's an amazing story. We always end by asking players the sort of questions you used to get asked in football magazines and programmes during your playing days. So, what's your favourite film? Titanic?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm one of these that can watch films over and over again. So the films I can watch are like, everybody says it's Shawshank.
Brilliant film.
But if you want to go a little bit more the other, away from the norm, Cinema Paradiso I love.
Oh, wow.
And this Roma. Have you seen Roma?
I've not seen it yet.
Brilliant film.
Really?
It's one of them films you just engage with the film itself. You don't. It's not really a story. You're just looking into somebody else's life.
Nice.
No, and that's the sort of film I like watching.
Favourite musical band or artist?
I have to make things up here because I don't want to sound like.
No, it's best to be honest.
I'm intrigued now.
No. Because going back, I was a new romantic and all that
Great,
sort
cool.
of thing, and a bit of a mod. I've even just bought myself a Vespa.
Oh, that is cool.
And
A brand new one or
a brand new one. It's a limited edition, and it's like midlife
Nice.
crisis.
Get that to Brighton on it, man. It's cool.
I can't make it to Birmingham, which is 20 miles away, without fearing.
You're going to get the Parker and that?
I've got
The flags, the
I've
mirrors.
I've got some trendy outfit as well, which is not come out of the cupboard yet.
Oh,
Yeah. So
Real me.
Faithless, I love Faithless.
oh
Oh,
man.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Maxi Jazz, isn't it?
Maxi Jazz is a big Palace fan.
I'm sure I saw him once in the Old Angel pub, having a pint in the afternoon.
Such a nice guy.
He is so cool.
Did he deny he was him again?
Yeah. He's still Steve Stone. Oh man, that's a great choice.
I went to see last week Tears for Fears.
Mate, I saw them.
Man.
Absolutely loved them.
Alison Moyer, though, supporting was
brilliant.
incredible.
Yeah. And
was
see,
so
that's
good.
my era, that. And Tears
Yeah.
for Fears were just as good as they were.
Didn't you find that they seemed like two different bands? Because in the 90s, they had that whole Beatles thing going on,
Sowing the Seeds is
which
a
was
single,
Sowing
that
the
was
Seeds is
great,
amazing, but the rest of it isn't great.
But that, with a lot of the show, though, were, I thought, Beatle vibes.
Yeah.
You
Some
know-
of the Seeds album, all that stuff's like really Beatlesy, but I'm more songs from the Big Chair, Shout and all that.
Everybody wants to rule the world.
Yeah.
Favorite food?
Because I'm pescatarian now. Steak.
Oh man, Geoff, this has been such a thrill and such an honour. Thank you so much for coming in.
Great to see you
I
again,
enjoyed
mate.
it.
Thank you so
Thanks very
much.
much.
Cheers.
Don't forget you can subscribe to the podcast by subscribing on your iTunes or podcast provider. Email the show rrd1865@outlook.com. Follow us on Twitter @rrd1865. You can share it on your social media and encourage other folks to listen. That'd be great. Until next time, see you later.
Cheers.